Welcome to the Stochastic MLB Strategy Show. I'm your host, Neil Orfield. I'm here with Adam Ship My Money Share, and this show is sponsored by Sorare. I believe specifically Sorare MLB. I'm not sure if it's specifically MLB, but great sponsor here. We'll talk about Sorare a little bit later. I play Sorare, every slate, both MLB and NBA. Very cool sponsor. But we will talk about them later. Adam, how you doing this morning?
I feel like you did the other day, I think.
You were tweeting through it yesterday a little bit from the bar, tweeting nonsense for 20 years now, right? That's what the guy said on Twitter.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. But
I enjoyed that exchange. It's always fun to me when people like the tweets that people choose to respond to. Like that tweet was the one that set him off. That he was like, "Go get a life."
Right. Yeah, and then the same guy actually replied to something else I said this morning, telling me once again to get a life. Like he's not a random person replying to my
right.
tweets.
Who's also obsessed with Vegas Dave, apparently.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But Sunday is my one day that I go out, and I always regret it Monday morning and say I'm not going to do it anymore. Why is Jordan here?
I do not know why Jordan is here. Maybe Jordan will tell us. Maybe not.
Add him to the stream.
Yeah.
That got him out.
All right, so we've got it was a 9-game slate. We lost one of the games on this slate. The Phillies White Sox game no longer on the slate. First of all, how was your DFS this weekend? Other than being super hungover this morning, how did this weekend go?
Lost a little bit yesterday, but made good money Saturday. Basically won cash games all week other than yesterday. But then for MMA, I also going into the main event, I was going to win the $200 3 max if Arnold Allen won.
Okay.
So and that was for that would have been $7,500 first. So I bet $2,500 on Max Holloway. So came out ahead on MMA just through the bet also. So I had a good weekend.
Nice. Yeah, I played 21 lineups in the main in MMA, and at one point I thought I had the nut lineup if Boser won against Ian Kudalaba or whatever. I played somebody from that fight in every single one of my lineups. I thought it was going to be a pretty volatile fight, but then it ended up being I had 2 really good lineups that both needed Boser to win, so that was pretty unfortunate. And then of course one of the huge favorites that everybody played, my 2 remaining were the main card guy and then the other guy who was a huge favorite, and then of course he lost. So
Billy Q.
Yeah, Billy Q. I didn't know that was his nickname. I just knew it had a Q in there somewhere.
Yeah, Corintillo.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, okay. Any overarching thoughts about this 8-game slate before we jump into it?
No, nothing. Nothing unusual.
I am going to refresh my fantasy cruncher just because I want to see if we have removed. Oh, okay. Jordan said that it was super zoomed in on our faces. Interesting. I couldn't see that.
Oh yeah, it was.
Oh, I didn't even notice. Okay.
I liked it because I enjoy looking at my face.
Perfect. Then screw Jordan for coming in and changing it.
Right.
What's up with that? Man, does this game start at a weird time? No.
Which
okay. The Texas Kansas City game is showing up at 6:40 in one of my views and 7:40 in the other.
I'm seeing 7:40, but I'm not sure. I'll say I know the Boston game has a weird start time because of the marathon, but
okay. All right. Oh, so we lost the earliest game. So we only had one game that was originally at 7:10. So the first game now is at 7:40. Interesting. Did not realize that. Okay. Well, we will talk about that first game on the slate, which is, of course, Texas, Kansas City. We've got Jacob deGrom going up against Jordan Lyles. I have a feeling you're going to have some interest in deGrom. Tell me about your level of interest in these pitchers.
I was replying in chat, but yeah, definitely interested in deGrom. Just basically the best pitcher in baseball when he's healthy. Decent matchup against Kansas City, 3 implied run total. There's not a whole lot to say about deGrom. He's just obviously very, very, very good. Since the start of last season, again, he was injured for part of last year, but 42.3% strikeout percentage is just absolutely insane. 3.3% walk percentage, 39% K minus BB percentage. When you see pitchers north of 21, 22% in K minus BB percentage, that's really good. Jacob deGrom is at 39%. It just goes without saying that you play a lot of Jacob deGrom, especially when he's still only $10,100. This is somebody that if DraftKings were interested in making it a decision, they would make him $12,000. He's not $12,000. Just play Jacob deGrom.
So do you think that you will end up above the field or with or above the field on, I guess, I don't know if you're playing any GPPs today,
not,
but if you were going to, do you think you would end up at the field, above the field?
At 60%, probably just like around it.
Okay.
Although I could see a case where you just jam in Jacob deGrom. It is worth noting that Kevin Gossman's getting less than 160 ownership. Granted, the matchup's a lot worse, and he isn't Jacob deGrom, but that's an interesting pivot. The other thing that stands out, though, is that like Corbin Burns is getting 30%. Like you have other pitchers getting 20 to 30% ownership. So I don't know. There's a chance that I would just play deGrom everywhere.
Okay. It was pointed out in chat, and I didn't even notice it. You're wearing your Live, Laugh, Love hat. My sister-in-law has that same sign in her house.
Yeah.
Out in the suburbs.
Yeah.
It's a great mantra.
Yeah. Bought it in Glacier National Park, Montana, because we were going like kayaking and I needed that.
That's why I have my Rockies hat. I was on my honeymoon in Denver. We went to a Rockies game and it was like, holy shit, it is super sunny. Need hats. And now I think it's actually my only MLB hat. So people think I'm a Rockies fan. They don't even have a Twins hat. Maybe I should get one. All right. How about the bats in this game? So obviously Kansas City going to be low owned against Jacob deGrom. Texas maybe more interesting against Jordan Lyles. What's your level of interest in the bats?
Zero interest in Kansas City. Dead last in the top stacks tool. I don't care to target Jacob deGrom. Texas is pretty interesting, though. Jordan Lyles is a decent pitcher, but most of his value to major league teams is just his ability to go relatively deep in the games. He will give up some power. Texas is fourth in top stack percentage at 6.7%. We do have a Coors game, so that's going to pull a lot of ownership. Texas is third in aggregate ownership behind the Coors game. So I do think Texas looks good. They are projected to do a little bit overowned, though.
Okay. So some interest in Texas, no interest in Kansas City. Can you rank the four sides of the game?
deGrom, Texas, nothing else.
Okay. So you're just not playing anybody from the Royals.
Yeah. I mean, I guess Kansas City bats would be third because they're not Jordan Lyles, but I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. I thought they were your team. I mean, DFS wise, Kansas City, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I say that, and I'm sure if I were playing tournaments, I'd have like 80% Kansas City.
All right. We'll move on to the next game on the slate, which is just 5 minutes later. Cardinals at Diamondbacks. We've got Jack Flaherty on the mound for the Cardinals, Merrill Kelly for the D-backs. What's your level of interest in the pitchers?
Not too much here. Neither one's a great strikeout pitcher. Jack Flaherty was a good pitcher, and then he got hurt and hasn't really come back. He's projected for 3.5% ownership at 7,800, 9% chance of being a top two pitcher. So going a little bit under-owned, but not anything that I really want to get to since the start of last season. Again, limited sample for him since he was hurt, but only a 19.7% strikeout percentage, also has a 15.7% walk percentage, 5.3 xFIP. He just hasn't been the same guy since he came back. Arizona is not the worst matchup, but also not the best matchup. They do have some quality hitters in that lineup. 3.8 implied run total. So, like, again, if you want to take some shots on Flaherty in tournaments, I think that's fine. Merrill Kelly's got a tough matchup here against St. Louis. He is typically a pitcher that is decent at limiting power, but doesn't get a ton of strikeouts. St. Louis is a tough matchup as well. 138 expected ISO to righties from Kelly, 24% strikeout percentage to righties since last year. All that's decent, but just not really a spot that I want to be going to him. He's projected for 1% ownership with a 7% chance of being a top two pitcher. So similar to Flaherty, like if you're playing large field tournaments on DraftKings and you end up with Merrill Kelly as an SP2 in a lineup here or there, that's fine, but it's certainly nothing I'd be building around.
Okay. And then the bats on the other side of it. Do you have interest in the Cardinals, D-backs? What's your level of interest?
A little bit of interest in the Cardinals here. They're only projected for 2% ownership, 6% chance of being the top stack. They are relatively expensive, and Kelly, again, isn't a bad pitcher. I mentioned, 138 expected ISO to righties since last year. Does give up more power to lefties, but most of the Cardinals lineup is right-handed, at least the guys that you would want to play. Nolan Gorman in particular, I think, looks pretty good. Brendan Donovan looks okay. So I think that the Cardinals are going a little bit under-owned, but it's not like it's a great matchup for them. Similarly for Arizona, 4% chance of being the top stack, 3% ownership. Flaherty is a bit of a wild card at this point where he's certainly not the same pitcher that he used to be. So, if you want to get to some of the Diamondbacks, I think that's fine at low ownership. Josh Rojas, Ketel Marte, Gurriel, Walker, Corbin Carroll, it's a solid 5-man, but nothing that I would really be prioritizing.
Okay. And then can you rank the sides of this game?
I guess Cardinals, Diamondbacks, Flaherty Kelly.
Cardinals, Diamondbacks. Okay, so you like the bats first before the pitchers. Okay.
Yeah. Bert Bondi said Merrill Kelly's metrics look like a guy who's about to get absolutely shelled. Yeah, I've been saying that for like 2 years and it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, maybe some pitchers. I don't understand it, but there are some pitchers that just go their whole career skirting those kind of underlying metrics and still somehow finding success. Maybe it's just like DFS players. Like sometimes, not the best DFS players just get super hot. Maybe it's the same kind of thing.
Shout out Steve.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly what I'm talking about, Steve. All right, we'll move on to Blue Jays at Astros. Kevin Gossman on the mound for the Jays. Christian Javier for the Astros. Obviously not an easy spot for either pitcher, but do you have any interest?
Christian Javier is a good pitcher. Tough matchup, though, like you said. He is pulling 21% ownership, which is kind of surprising to me, but we do have him with a 17% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. 9,200, certainly a reasonable price tag for him. 31% strikeout percentage since last year. Actually, read an article that somebody linked me to on Twitter the other day that said Christian Javier had the best fastball amongst starting pitchers last season, even though he only throws like 93, 94 miles an hour. Just such a high spin rate, so many swings and misses on it. So certainly a good pitcher, but very dangerous spot for him. As far as the Toronto side, Gossman, again, very, very, very good pitcher. I mentioned him a minute ago when we were talking about Jacob deGrom. Gossman has about a 20% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. He's only projected for 8% ownership. Gossman, in that same article, actually had the best splitter last year ahead of Shohei Ohtani. So, like, clearly very, very high ceiling for him, but also a very dangerous matchup.
Okay. And then what about the bats? I mean, obviously also a tough spot for the bats against Javier and Gossman. How much interest, if any, do you have in bats in this game?
Yeah, this game kind of across the board is just similar where like Toronto's getting 2% ownership because they have a tough matchup, but like they're still the Blue Jays. They still have a really good offense. Similarly for Houston, 1.5% ownership against Gossman, 3% chance of being the top stack. So you're talking about a low probability spot, but 2 teams offensively that when things go their way, it looks really, really, really good because they just have so many good hitters. So this game in general is just kind of like, I think, a tournament game. It's one of those games. It's one of those games where, Javier is getting ownership and nothing else really is. But it's one of those where if you just look at it from a median projection standpoint, nothing looks very good. But if you think about it from a range of outcome standpoint, like if you play this game 1,000 times, sure, there are some games where Gossman's decent but not great, Javier's decent but not great. The offenses both score, 4 or 5 runs. But there's going to be a lot of like versions of this game where either the pitchers dominate or the offenses dominate, and none of it really outside of Javier is getting ownership.
Yeah, and it's going to happen more often than people play these teams because It's such a volatile spot. Yeah. Tough one to rank, I bet. How would you rank the 4 sides of this?
Javier, Gossman, Blue Jays, Astros, I guess.
Okay. And Obi-Wan points out, ship my money, Dustin May Monday. We get another another slate with your twin on it. That's fun. We'll talk about that later. But first,
that girl didn't like blonde hair and blue eyes. I wonder how she feels about bright orange hair.
Maybe that's her thing. You don't know. Could be. Let me remind you, I think I forgot to, I was so distracted by Jordan Klein. I didn't even ask for likes when people were coming in. So please do, if you have not yet, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification button so you can get alerts when this show goes live. Most importantly, though, just like the video. I mean, I guess most importantly is probably subscribe to the channel, but do please like the video while you're coming in. Also, Sorare, I already mentioned, is the sponsor of this show. I love Sorare. It's a new NBA slate today. New MLB slate already started today. They had the early morning game. I believe it already started, the MLB slate today, but it's a very fun game. I've been playing NBA, but it's similar for MLB. You buy cards and you can enter contests with the cards you have. So if you buy a card, you can enter it every slate for infinity, for as long as Sorare is in existence, hopefully hundreds of years. Your card will still be, your player will probably be retired in hundreds of years, but for the length of the player's career, you will have that card. You will be able to play it in contests, but it is also single entry. So if you buy one Garrett Cole card, for example, you can only play that once per slate. So if you want to enter multiple different contests, you need to buy multiple Garrett Cole cards, but each contest, everybody can only have one entry into it. Kind of fun if you're not a big MMEer. Really fun type of contest. You should definitely check out Sorare. And of course, if you click the link in the description of this video, before you sign up, new users. Then buy 5 cards on the marketplace. You will get a 6th card for free. That will be a limited card numbered to 5,000. Those are my favorite types of contests. The limited contests, you have to pay a little bit to play them, but it's not a ton of investment, and very fun contest with real prizes. So make sure you check out Sorare. Again, the link is in the description of this video. And if you buy 5 cards on the market, you will get a 6th card for free. We will be having projections. I believe I heard we've had projections for NBA. You'll also be able to, I believe, find MLB projections on our site at some point, but it's a little bit complicated, so not quite there just yet. All right, Adam, we can move on to the Rockies game. Pittsburgh at Colorado. Rich Hill on the mound for the Pirates. Kyle Freeland for the Rockies. Are you playing pitchers and Coors today?
Probably not, but if you're ever going to, I think you could take a chance on Kyle Freeland here. He is getting 1% ownership, 2.5% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. I don't think this is a slate where you need to go there. You have Jacob deGrom, you have Gossman, Burns, Javier, Wheeler, Lynn. Like, you have all these quality arms, but the Pirates do suck.
Absolutely. Do you have any opinion on Jalen Hurts being the highest paid NFL player in history? I did not realize that he's the highest paid in NFL history. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, good for him. I think he deserves it. He's really good. I'm hoping that it leads to Lamar Jackson re-signing with Baltimore. Not that I'm a Ravens fan, but the stadium is like a mile and a half from me, so it's nice. I prefer them to be good. It just makes things more fun. I would not like Lamar Jackson to leave, so hopefully now there's like a framework for him to sign something.
You're a Commanders fan, right?
Unfortunately, yes.
Fun. Yeah, I think, Lamar Jackson, I can't believe that they have not signed him long-term yet.
It's the whole thing's crazy to me. Like, people shit on him for stupid reasons, but like, he's a good passer and obviously an elite runner. Like, he's an elite quarterback and just not getting paid. But yeah, no, like, I don't care one way or the other about the Ravens, but like, DraftKings gives me tickets to the Ravens usually once or twice a year. It's just fun, being out in Baltimore when the Ravens are good. So like,
yeah.
And I've always just taken for granted that they would be good because they always are. It's going to be really disappointing if they actually like let him go and just end up being like another terrible football team that I sort of like.
Yeah. It's funny how people talk about running quarterbacks. Like, they don't think of running as like a skill or an attribute that a quarterback has. Just like, well, he's not that good of a quarterback. He's just good at running. I'm like, even if that is true, like, if they can move the ball down the field, that's all that really matters. Like, that is extremely important.
Yeah. My sister's a Steelers fan, and she's very... She loves to make that argument. It's like, well, he's not a really good quarterback. He can just run. It's like, well, yeah, he's like an average passer, but when you can run like him, that makes you like amazing.
Yeah, it's a weird argument, but yeah, I hope Lamar Jackson gets paid. There have been talks about among Vikings fans about a trade for Lamar Jackson, which I don't think actually makes that much sense for the Vikings, although it would be super fun. I don't
know why the Vikings. Kirk Cousins is another one. Not that he's the same level as Lamar, but like, I know this from when he was in Washington. People like hate on Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
He's not Tom Brady. He's not Peyton Manning, but the dude's a good quarterback.
To be honest, I hated on him his first couple of years. No, I didn't hate on him, but like, I wasn't sold on him until the past couple of years. Actually, he's gotten better, and he's starting to look like he's, which is kind of what we expected when we got him. Obviously, he was good for Washington, so good to see him. But yeah, this year he looked plenty good. I don't think we need to trade away our future there like we did with Gobert. All right, bats and Coors, Rockies, Pirates. What's your level of interest?
A lot. I guess as low as it could be in Coors, but still a lot. Like, when you have the Pirates facing the Rockies, there's not a lot. You don't feel very good about the hitters, but it's still Coors. You still have Rich Hill pitching. This is a ballpark that when you think about the way it affects movement on pitches, curveballs are more negatively impacted than like fastballs and sliders because they rely on vertical movement. You have Rich Hill, 44 years old, throwing big, slow, looping curveballs that are just going to be flat in Coors. So the Rockies certainly look good. 6.4 implied run total. Profar, Bryant, Blackmon, Crone, Diaz as a catcher option. All these guys look good. On the other side for Pittsburgh, Brian Hayes, Brian Reynolds, Andrew McCutchen, they all look, they're all good hitters. Hayes is only 3,800 on DraftKings. Reynolds and McCutchen are priced up a bit. The rest of the lineup kind of sucks. Connor Joe going back to Coors Field where he played for years. But Freeland's a decent pitcher. I think I certainly prefer the Rocky side, but the Pirates, they're still in Coors. They still look pretty good.
Yeah, these are the top 2 teams in the top stack school by a mile. Like, it's 17% for the Rockies, 14% for the Pirates, and then it drops down to 7% for Atlanta. So hard not to have some interest when they're just so far the top stacks on the top stacks tool, although there is also negative leverage. How would you rank the four sides of this one?
Rockies, Pirates, Freeland, jump off a cliff, Ross to Rich Hill.
All right. Yeah, that sounds about right. All right. Couple questions. And now I want you to rank some quarterbacks for me. This is one of these things that I don't think I do all that well. Like, I think that sometimes my idea of how talented a player is so skewed by fantasy that I am not great at ranking. But
I'm the same way.
okay, well then this will be fun to see how wrong we are. People will get furious. All right. Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins, Dak Prescott. How do you rank those three quarterbacks?
Cousins 1, Dak 2, Carr 3.
I think that's how I lean to it. The hardest decision there for me is the Dak and Cousins. I think I might overrate Dak a little bit because he's a good fantasy quarterback. It's close between those two for me at the very least. Dak and Cousins. Is it close for you?
Yeah. I never really know how to rank Dak because I hate the Cowboys.
Right.
And it just, I don't know. But also, like, I hate playing Dak. Like, I just always expect him to do well against Washington. So I think I actually probably overrate Dak as a quarterback. I do think Derek Carr is also underrated by people in general, but I still think he's behind Dak and Cousins.
Yep. Agreed. Also, just saw we're talking about the contract that Jalen Hurts signed. Pablo Lopez just signed a big extension with the Twins. Pretty excited about that. I have no idea like what's a big contract, like if you overpay or underpay, but from what I've gathered, it seems like it's a pretty reasonable extension.
Yeah, that's a very $70 million over 4 years is very reasonable.
Yeah, I'll take that then. That's exciting. All right. On to the next game, which is of course Milwaukee.
Michael Rountree said Carr over Dak. I think that's certainly defensible.
Yeah, I mean, I think that these were questions being posed in chat, so obviously at least somebody in chat thinks that they are reasonable. But yeah, I do think it is a reasonable. Those three are all kind of mid-tier quarterbacks, mid to like higher end of the mid-tier, I think.
Yeah, they're all guys with like weird narratives too. Like Cousins, it's oh, he can't win the big game, blah blah blah, and like he's so much better than people give him credit for. Carr, people just shit on him constantly, and he's a solid enough quarterback. Dak, I think, kind of gets overrated because he's the Cowboys quarterback, but then at the same time, he gets like too much grief because he's the Cowboys quarterback.
Right. He's overly scrutinized, like everything he does. Yeah.
Right.
Agreed. All right. Milwaukee and Seattle. Corbin Burns on the mound for the Brewers. Chris Flexen for Seattle. What's your level of interest in the pitchers?
Very interested in Burns. Not very interested in Flexen. Burns, just a good strikeout pitcher, good pitcher's park. Since the start of last year for Burns, 29.6% strikeout percentage, sub 3 xFIP, 301 Sierra, about a home run per 9, but this park will downplay that as well. Burns looks really good. He is projected for 30% ownership, second highest owned pitcher behind DeGrom. Mostly warranted, 17% chance of being a top 2 pitcher, but still just looks really good. Flexen doesn't have great strikeout stuff. Good park, 5,600. Like if you wanted to make a case for Flexen, it would be the price tag. 2.5% ownership, 16.5% chance of being a top 2 value pitcher. But we've talked about it a lot where baseball is different than a sport like basketball. Even if Flexen goes and gets, 15 fantasy points, and 3x's his salary and ends up being one of the best values because home runs, because baseball is an event-driven sport, you're just going to have cheap hitters that hit home runs and they are the actual best value plays. So like getting 3x from a pitcher isn't as important because you're just going to find cheap hitters that go for 8x. So not really interested in Flexen. Okay.
And then the bats on the other side, Milwaukee, Seattle. What's your level of interest?
Some interest in Milwaukee. Not a great park to hit in, but Flexen doesn't miss a lot of bats. 217 expected ISO to righties since the start of last year. Only 131 to lefties, which is kind of surprising. But Adames is going to look good. William Contreras is a relatively cheap catcher option at 3,800. It's going to look good. Obviously, you can always play Yelich, Rowdy Tellez, who's also cheap. So some interest in the Brewers. Still only a 4 implied run total there. Not particularly interested in the Mariners against Burns.
Okay, and then rank the 4 sides.
Burns, Brewers, Mariners, Flexen. Actually, I guess Flexen Mariners just because Flexen's so cheap.
Okay, Flexen before the Mariners. Okay, we will move on. I do have to tell you guys that we do have a great new offer for first-time users only. You can get 50% off any Sport Platinum weekly or monthly deal at Stochastic. Just click the link in the description of this video or use promo code SCORE when you sign up. You'll get everything Stokastic has to offer, including ownership projections, lineup generator, lineup builder, boom bust tool, leverage scores, and of course our industry-leading projections, which are managed by Alex, Steve Buzzard, and Sean Zahn, three of the best all-time DFS players. So make sure you do check that out. If you're a first-time user, 50% off. Use promo code SCORE, get access to all of our great tools. All right. Next up, we have Oakland and the Cubs. Kyle Muller on the mound for the A's. Hayden Wesneski for the Cubs. What's your level of interest in these pitchers?
Not particularly interested in either one. Kyle Muller is a decent pitcher. I just don't know that you need to go there today. You have, actual really good pitchers on the slate. He is 6,600. It is a good park to pitch in. Does have solid strikeout stuff. Going back to the start of last year. So if you need a cheap pitcher, I think Muller is okay. Only an 18% strikeout percentage, but his stuff I think will get him more strikeouts going forward. But neither one is somebody I think you need the roster. Good matchup for Wesneski, 19.5% strikeout percentage since last year. Both guys have an xFIP between 4.4 and 4.5. So on a slate with DeGrom, Burns, all these other guys, I don't think you need either pitcher.
Okay. And then how about the Cubs or the A's? Any interest in the bats?
Not too much. The park just sucks for hitting. I don't think either pitcher is terrible either. If you wanted to go to the Cubs, I think that's where I would go first. They at least have some speed in their lineup, some guys with power. They're actually fifth in top stack percentage and projected to do a little bit under owned, 4% aggregate ownership, 6% chance to be in the top stack. So I would go there first. Oakland, third from the bottom. The only teams below them in top stack percentage are the ones facing Jacob deGrom and Corbin Burns.
Okay. And then rank the four sides.
Cubs bats, Wesneski, Muller, A's bats.
Okay. All right. Atlanta at San Diego. We've got Max Fried on the mound for the Braves, Ryan Weathers for the Padres. What's your level of interest in these pitchers?
Not much interest here either. Weathers was a highly rated prospect. He's really young, but hasn't really put it together in the majors. Max Fried is a very good pitcher, but facing the Padres, not a spot that I expect to get a lot of.
Yeah, pretty tough there. What about the bats then? I mean, obviously better matchup for the Braves going up against Ryan Weathers, but what's your level of interest in the bats in this game?
Yeah, I mean, I like the Braves bats here. Just against an unproven pitcher, they're the highest top stack percentage other than the two Coors teams. They are projected to go slightly over-owned, but they're also relatively inexpensive, or at least there are parts of their lineup that are relatively inexpensive. Acuna, Olsen, Riley, all priced up, but you get reasonable price tags on Murphy and Albies. You get very cheap price tags on everyone else. Grissom at 3,100, Ozuna at 2,600, Pilar and Eli White, not exactly guys you're excited about, but they do have some speed at the bottom of the order. So I like the Braves bats here against Weathers. Not really interested in going to the Padres. I don't really want to take Fried against them, but also Fried is a very good pitcher. 109 expected ISO to righties since the start of last year, sub 100 expected ISO to lefties. You can always make the case for rostering low-owned Padres just because they are so good, but Max Fried is pretty far down the list of pitchers that I like taking batters against. Okay.
And then can you rank the four sides of the game?
Braves bats, Fried, Padres bats, Weathers.
Okay. Adam, we are way ahead of schedule right now. Wait, do we only have one game left? Am I reading this right? I think we might only have one game left. Mets at Dodgers. So guys, if you
making up for running over the other day.
That's true. We'll probably end a little bit early, but we still, if you have any questions, guys, feel free to ask questions. We can get there at the end. We have time to look at tiers today as well. So yeah, if anybody has questions or anything, we've got a little bit of time. We can end.
That's
early,
crazy how fast we're getting through this, because we definitely got sidetracked too.
Yeah, I know. It's we're flying through the actual talking about the slate. I guess it's a pretty straightforward slate. But we'll give like rankings of our top few pitchers and teams. I don't know. We'll find ways to fill a little bit of time so that
we just need to have a 15-minute conversation on breast milk and we'll be good.
I still have not watched that stream with Lofty.
I haven't either, and I won't. But
I did a Wednesday stream with Lofty last week, and somebody brought up breast milk as a reference. I think I was hungover, and he was like, breast milk is a good cure for that or something like that. And I mentioned it to Lofty, having no idea what the context was, and then Lofty explained that it was their show and highly recommended that I would go back and watch it. And I meant to. I actually sounded like it was a good show to watch, but was pretty busy. So still have no idea what the actual reference is to breast milk, other than a conversation where apparently Josh was making Lofty cry laughing. So
yeah, I mean, I know the gist of the conversation was that one or both of them weren't sure why breast milk from humans is not sold and cow milk is, but that's kind of all I know.
interesting. So do you think it's just because people will be grossed out by it? Like, is it a
I mean,
societal?
I think it's a tough market because you can't like throw a bunch of women on a farm and milk them.
Yeah, that's a good point. And
Yeah.
women also like need their breast milk. When they have the breast
Right,
milk, they need it for their own baby. So
right.
typically not an oversupply there. Yeah. I guess it's actually a pretty simple answer there. All right. Yeah. So final game of the slate. We've got Mets and Dodgers. David Peterson on the mound for the Mets. Dustin May, Adam's twin, for the Dodgers. What's your level of interest here, Adam?
I mean, May's a solid pitcher, but not a great matchup, not a great strikeout pitcher. 1% ownership, 10% chance of being top two. If you play him in tournament lineup here and there, I think that's fine, but wouldn't be going out of my way to do so. On the other side, kind of the same thing for Peterson. I'm surprised he's getting 8% ownership, but I guess it is because he's only 6,800. Certainly a tough matchup against the Dodgers. I'm surprised we have him with a 10% chance of being a top two scoring pitcher. I understand that he's going to have a high percentage of being a top two value pitcher because of that price tag, but going up against the Dodgers seems like a really, really tough spot. So I'm a little surprised at how high he is in top two pitcher percentage, but he does have good strikeout stuff. Since the start of last year, about a 27% strikeout percentage. So that's good. But still, the Dodgers are awesome.
Richie Small says gorilla milk probably closer to human milk than anything else. Do gorillas have milk? They must, right? I've never thought about it.
Absolutely no idea.
I mean, it makes sense that they would, but I've never thought about that. That's maybe you're right, Richie. We could sell gorilla milk. I don't know why we not just sell cow milk though. Cow milk is good. I know you know that.
I mean, the problem with gorilla milk too, though, would be I think cows, you kind of can just, throw them out in a pasture and they're just going to be like docile and chill. I'm not sure how, one, I don't know if gorillas have milk. And two, I don't know if they are open to the idea of being milked. I would not want to milk a gorilla that doesn't want to be milked.
That's a good point. I can't imagine that they would be open to the idea. It would take centuries of trying to tame them, I think, before gorillas would be tame enough to just be able to milk them. It's also just a sad, like factory farms, as a meat eater, it does kind of make me sad. And I don't want to factory farm more animals.
Yeah, no, I took a philosophy class my freshman year of college, and we the topic one day was, eating meat. And so the professor was showing a video on slaughterhouses, and I did not go to class that day because I could not stomach it.
Yeah, that's I was at a actually we have near me, there's a Grand Avenue big, I forget, Grand Old Day is a like summer festival thing, and I was just out, nice sunny day, enjoying some beer out. It's just like they close down the streets and have like little pop-up shops everywhere on Grand Old Day, and one of the places that I stopped by said, hey, if you watch a 1-minute video, we'll give you $1. And I was like, I was waiting. I think my wife was like nearby in a shop or something. And I was like, I got a minute. So I watched the video, and it was just a slaughterhouse video it was like a place that wanted you to not eat meat. And it did disgust me. And, and I think I did not eat meat for that one meal. I think I skipped one meal of eating meat after watching that video. People always say, like, if you watch this video, you're not going to want to eat meat anymore. And I'm like, yeah, that's why I'm not going to watch that video.
Yeah,
I don't want to watch that video because I really enjoy meat.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, bats in this game. Final game. We have Dodgers and Mets. What's your level of interest in the bats here?
I mean, always interested in the Dodgers. They're just a great offense. Not the best spot against Peterson, but only 4% aggregate ownership coming into the Dodgers, 5.5% chance of being the top stack. So all that looks good. On the Mets side, less interested there. Dustin May is very good at keeping the ball on the ground, doesn't give up a lot of power. They are going under-owned as well, 4% chance of being the top stack, 3% ownership. So an under-owned, good offense, but the Dodgers look a bit better.
Okay. And then can you rank the four sides?
Dodgers bats, I guess Peterson because he's 6,800. May, Mets.
Okay. Josh Gillum says not worse than people who watch Dr. Pimple Popper. Is that what it sounds like? Is that just like a doctor who pops people's pimples?
That's gonna be my guess.
Because I also would not enjoy watching that for different reasons. I don't want to watch those videos either.
Yeah.
All right. what should we, let's rank the top pitchers for a give me your top 5 GPP pitchers.
DeGrom, Burns, Javier, Gossman, May.
And then
On.
if you're playing single entry lineup, so let's say you're playing a 3 entry and you have to pick you want to pick 3 different primary stacks in a contest where you can only enter 3. Which 3 stacks would you go to?
Atlanta, Dodgers, Cubs.
And then do you want to talk some tiers?
Sure.
All right, I'll find it. Looking it up.
So tier 1 is Alvarez, Bichette, Guerrero. Probably Guerrero.
All right, go Vlad tier 1, tier 2. It's interesting how they do the tiers. Like I feel like I always thought of it as tier 1 would be like the best players. I feel like that's how it is in NBA. It doesn't always seem to be that way in MLB. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously those 3 are all really good. But
I guess as plays, so like they're really good, but they're also in really tough matchups. So like maybe they are the 3 best players, but I also like we saw like Mike Trout in tier 3.
Right, yeah, and I mean like those guys, it was guys from the Toronto Houston game. So you're talking about facing Gossman and Javier when you have a Coors Field slate. So yeah,
right, exactly. So it's just the tier is a little bit weird to me. It doesn't seem to be based on any kind of projection at the very least. All right, tier 2, we've got Brian Reynolds, Kyle Tucker, Paul Goldschmidt, Chris Bryant. You got in an argument on Twitter a couple years back now about whether Chris Bryant is a good hitter. You were on the he is a good hitter side, right?
Yeah, it was like whether or not he was a top 25 hitter. And I said
that's right.
He was, and I posted stats to back it up. And I think it was Bobby just started
Bobby Fi. Yep.
Yeah.
And then
I'm now blocked.
Are you blocked as a result of that conversation?
It wasn't a result of that conversation. It was a result of me talking shit to him constantly, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he was talking shit to you too. Like that was part of it. Was like he would go on like drunken tirades. It seemed like, and you.
Yeah, he's also the one that like I reference it sometimes on Twitter whenever somebody calls me like liberal. Bobby's the one that called me a probably Trump loving moron at one point. Like I think maybe when we were talking about Chris Bryant, like it had nothing to do with politics either. And I was like, okay.
I love when people bring in politics to just like the most random conversations. All right. So who are we taking in tier 2? Did you say?
Tier 2, Chris Bryant.
Tier 3, we have two of the 6 batters are in the postponed game. The 4 remaining are Nolan Arenado, Marcus Semien, Andrew McCutchen, and CJ Cron.
Yeah, give me CJ Cron.
Yeah, CJ Cron in Coors.
The actual guy I look like.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. All right. Tier 4, Matt Chapman, Bobby Witt Jr., George Springer, Adolis Garcia, Brendan Donovan, and Sal Perez. Who are you taking here?
Yeah, this is another tough one. I think Adolis Garcia. He's the only one facing Donovan, I guess. But they're the only ones facing not like aces.
Jason Cedar asking, where is the best place to get daily fantasy baseball info and stats like the ones you use? It is at stochastic.com. You go to stochastic.com. We reference the top batters tool, the top pitchers tool. The stats that we're referencing are from Stochastic.
Yeah. In terms of like actual stats, like Fangraphs is the first place to go. Baseball Savant, Brooks Baseball, but like the general stuff, that I'm referencing, strikeout percentage, stuff like that, is Fangraphs.
Larry C says Neil's showing off his new phone. LOL. This is not my new phone. This is my old phone. I just got my new Apple phone from DraftKings on Saturday, but haven't had a chance to go switch over yet. So hopefully I'll find time to do that today. Really looking forward to setting up all my Apple stuff. I might end up moving to from my current laptop, which, as you may recall, sometimes shits out on me. I might switch from this to my new MacBook as well. Are you a Mac guy?
No.
Yeah, I've had one, I think once in my life, and I liked it. This is probably like 15, 20 years ago, though. Maybe not 20 years ago. 15 years ago, probably. I had maybe not even that. Anyway, it's been a long time since I've had a MacBook, so I'm a little bit hesitant about like the Switch, but I also have an iPhone, so I imagine it's not going to be that hard for me.
Yeah.
Who did you take in this tier? In tier 4? Tier 4. Tier 4.
Adolis Garcia.
Right. Okay. Tier 5, Jeremy Pena, Nathaniel Lowe. Man, these first names, some of these players, I'm like, I don't know if Jeremy Rojas. I don't know what his first name is. Josh Rojas. Yeah. Alex Bregman, MJ Melendez, Tyler O'Neill, Wilson. Wait, which William? Wilson.
That's Wilson.
Wilson
with Williams on the Brewers, Wilson on the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Give me Nathaniel Lowe against Lyles.
All right, taking Nathaniel Lowe there. And then finally, Nolan Gorman, Dalton Varsho, Ketel Marte, Charlie Blackmon, Ryan McMahon, and Jose Abreu.
Blackmon.
All right, that was
hitters
easy.
Against Rich Hill. Any chance you get?
Hitters against Rich Hill. All right, easy enough. Do we have any other? Of course, getting stochastic tools is As Jazzy Faye plays says, of course, getting stochastic tools is ideal if you can afford it. Yeah, the reason I answer stochastic is he's talking about DFS specifically. Like if you want just, as Adam said, general baseball stats, FanGraphs, the first place you go. But if you're looking for actual DFS data, I don't think you can find anything better than what we have right here at Stochastic. Which reminds me, did I have any reads that I missed here? I don't think I did. I think I got through all of them. We do have BetPro. Yeah, that's right. Well, I did. I actually got, I've done 3 reads, but we do have BetPro, which we obviously should check out BetPro. It's the same as it's now just BetPro. So we used to have NBA BetPro, or at least that's what I called it, and MLB BetPro. It's all combined. It's just BetPro at this point. Great tool for finding all the best bets in the business across sportsbooks. And of course, it uses our DFS projections, which are managed by Alex, Steve Buzzard, and Shanzon. You may have heard those names, Osimo, DeColts, and Shanzon, on the top of leaderboards just constantly, particularly this week. I think last night Steve won another 35,000 NBA. Adam, did you see that?
No, I didn't. I was preoccupied.
Yeah, I saw it. Preoccupied. That's one word for it. I'm pretty sure I saw in a Discord that Steve won another $35,000 last night in NBA. Probably won something on Saturday. I don't know if he did, but I'm just assuming that he won something. He's on like a full week-long streak now of just winning contests constantly. Take advantage of using Steve's projections and tools. Check out BetPro. It is probably the best resource out there for making bets and just quickly finding the best bets across sportsbooks. It really is a fantastic tool. I've just recently started taking advantage of our betting tools because we can't sports bet here in Minnesota, but I just made a bet using BetPro. It might have been Pick'em Pro, but it's the same concept for Noah's advantage on Saturday and went 5 for 5. So just using our tools really is a cheat code, because I am new to this. I don't really know what I'm doing sports betting other than using the tools, kind of, thinking through which of these bets that we say are the best bets do I believe in the most, and just choosing 5. So really does make it simple. Highly recommend signing up for BetPro if you have not already. And I should see, do we have a promo code? I believe we do. Just one second. Yes. So we have a 7-day free trial. Okay. Check out BetPro 7-day free trial for new users, and then it's $29.95 per week after. I believe it is just the link in the description of this video. If you haven't yet checked out BetPro for betting, make sure you check that out. Do we have any other questions? And we can end early. I didn't want to leave after 30 minutes because I feel like Jordan Klein would give me some shit, but I think pretty soon we can close this up a little bit early. But if anybody else has other questions you want us to get to, we can answer those. Oh, we got to do home run picks.
Oh, right. Yeah. All right. So no cores, because that's too easy. I will go. Give me Austin Riley.
Austin Riley for the dong pick. All right, I was reading chat about my Shure mic I'm using USB instead of XLR. I don't really know what XLR is, so I should, if you think that's better, maybe I should look into it, because I do get a lot of comments on my mic, and sometimes it's too loud and sometimes it's too quiet. I don't know what to do with it. So I'm I should probably get used to figure out the settings of this mic, I guess. All right, let's see. So we're doing no cores. This is tough.
Yeah, not many bad pitchers today.
Would Paul Goldschmidt be legal?
Yeah.
All right, I'll go Paul Goldschmidt. And then Josh Gillum asked, favorite stack under 5%. Top stack under 5%.
Top stack under 5%. Dodgers. Actually, maybe the Cardinals, but the Dodgers.
What about the Cubs? I mean, just based on our tools, we've got the Cubs at 4.4% ownership, 6.6% chance of being a top stack.
Yeah, they're good too. I think they were one of the three that I said I'd play in like 3 max, but
right.
Yeah, I don't like the park. Not that I love Dodger Stadium either, but I just love anytime you can get to the Dodgers sub 5%.
Yeah, absolutely. Always one of my favorite places to go is the low-owned Dodgers or Yankees or any of these absolutely amazing, the best stacks out there. If you can get them for under 5%, always one of the places that I want to go.
Certainly on par with the Dodgers and Yankees.
How are the Orioles doing this year?
They are 2 games over, I think. Their pitching's been awful. Their offense has been really good.
Okay. Yeah, good for the Orioles. I mean, I think that they are one of the most exciting up and coming teams. Like they have 100%. a ton of the best prospects in the game, right?
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting over the next year or two. It kind of sucks. It's great as a fan, but it kind of sucks because that the guys that are in the majors right now that you really like several of them are going to get traded for pitching, and then they're going to bring up guys that are in the minors right now because they have 8 guys in the top 100 prospects just sitting at AAA or AA. So it kind of sucks because it's oh yeah, these guys are really fun, and also they're going to trade 4 of them. But
right,
yeah, no, it's going to be a good few years for the Orioles.
There was a few years back, I felt like the Twins had an absolutely stacked farm system, and I looked at it this summer. It didn't look like the Twins really have anybody all that exciting right now.
Yes, I think their guys kind of flamed out. They had the was it Royce Lewis? I think is. I don't know what he's doing now. I know at one point he was a top prospect.
Yeah, we got Trevor Larnach now in the majors, doing okay. But yeah, just not quite the level of studs.
You just brought up Julian too, who's good.
Oh yeah, that is true. Julian is fun. I mean, he's starting off well, so that's exciting. Maybe there's something there. All right. I don't think that I saw any other questions.
Helm said those have been making decent live betting money this year. Yeah, they have I think they've won 9 or 10 games or whatever, and I think 8 of them have come from behind wins. I got them at plus 135 yesterday. They were tied in the 7th inning with the bases loaded. I just waited for them to not score there, and then they went from minus 120 to plus 135. I took that and won that.
Nice. Wait, we had one more question that I was going to respond. Oh, Royce O'Neal needs to stop tearing ACLs, apparently. Okay. I didn't. So that's what's going on with Royce. He just keeps tearing his. Yeah. And Josh Gillum says, favorite low owned pitcher.
Either Gossman or Dustin May.
Okay. I think we can close it up here. We did go 10, 15 minutes over on Saturday. Now we've only got 8 games on this slate. I think we've covered them all fairly well. Jorge asked Pittsburgh and Colorado as secondary stacks. We can still answer questions. We're going out.
Yeah. And if you can get to them as a main stack, pitchers like Gossman and May, I think become useful if you're going to a 5-man Colorado or a 5-man Pittsburgh stack, because those guys are going to be popular, but you can offset it by playing a 7% owned Gossman or a 1% owned May. It's just it's what we talk about a lot, where it's tough to differentiate when you have 5 guys that are popular in your stack. But if you can find ways to do it as a main stack, fine. They're the 2 best offenses to get to. From an ownership standpoint, though, it's more likely I'd be using them as secondary stacks.
Okay.
And Royce Lewis hopes to be able to run the bases by mid-April.
All right, we're at mid-April, so hopefully he is running the bases now.
Hoping to begin playing in minor league games by mid-April. He was cleared to run the bases as of March 31st.
Okay, so maybe he'll come back. I don't know. I'm not high hopes at this point. I feel like he's been a prospect for so many years at this point. Yeah. All right. Any final?
Still only 23.
Yeah, he could still. I mean, Byron Buxton took a little while too. I was super hyped for Byron Buxton, and then he took several years. And by then, I had sold all my Byron Buxton prospect cards.
Yeah, because when he first came up, it was like, well, he's great defensively, but he just can't hit. And then he
Right.
figure out how to hit.
Now it's just a matter of staying healthy. That's all we really need.
Yeah. Correa is the shortstop. I assume they'll throw Royce Lewis somewhere.
Yeah, they'll figure it out. All right. Any final thoughts?
Nope.
All right. Well, thank you for those great words at the end there, Adam. Thank you everybody for watching. Of course, thank you to Sorare for sponsoring the show. Again, guys, check out Sorare if you haven't already. It really is a super fun game. Just go to sorare.com/MLB, I believe, to find the MLB product. And actually just use the link in the description of this video so you can take advantage of our deal. And before you head out, please, if you haven't yet, do hit that like button. Thank you guys very much for watching, and good luck tonight.